Hi everyone, just before we start this video, I want to give a bit more context and information for those that don't know what's going on. So for people that don't know about the situation, Misha B was a contestant on X Factor, and she was targeted and bullied on the show, on and off camera it seems, and was falsely accused of bullying by other contestants. I think it's a conspiracy. The bullying was broadcast to the British public, and Misha is still recovering from the trauma 9 years later. There's a video on her Instagram. It's about an hour long, but I really recommend you watch the whole thing, which she shares her story, and just talks about everything from her perspective. Believe black women, support black women. I also just wanted to say, in this video, I don't address Louis' part in the public bullying, and I'm aware of kind of when people are cancelled or when these things happen and come out, especially when men and women are involved. For example, like when there's drama in the beauty community or whatever, usually the women take all the flack, and I don't think that's fair. So I just want to quickly say, Louis is a pagan too. He can fuck off. His behaviour is just as disgusting, and many of the feelings I have towards Talisa, I feel towards him. He is also benefiting from white supremacist patriarchy as much as her, except he has the patriarchy to also benefit from. So I just want to share my thoughts in the video, but yeah, fuck them both.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Giftee. You can also call me Giftee Love. So today I'm going to be talking about the situation with Misha B and X Factor and how she was treated in her recent video, because when I watched it, I felt so compelled by everything that she was saying, and it really just touched me. And so I felt like I had to do a video about it. Before I begin, I just want to say, Misha B, I love you. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. Thank you for telling your story. I know you said it's been a long time coming, it's been hard. And for the past 9 years, you've been going through it, having to, deal with all of this. I'm thankful and happy that you've had family and just black women supporting you through the whole journey, because I know, it's still a hard journey, and sometimes even without support, it can feel impossible. So I'm really glad that despite all that happened to you, you had people in your corner fighting for you, helping you, raising you up, and getting you to where you are today. I'm so happy to hear a triumph story. I wish it wasn't a triumph story. I wish there wasn't the horrible hardships that you had to go through to get where you are today, but I'm still glad that you are getting to a better place and that you've spoken your truth. I think my favorite thing about what you said was when you said about you get your power from speaking your truth. And I think I really resonate with that. I think in everything that I do, this YouTube channel, my work in in being like an inclusion advocate in workplaces and things like that, it all comes from me being open and honest about my truth and about my lived experience and how that can be used. And it's not just trauma. It isn't just, my trauma and what I've been through as a black woman, but just also as a person isn't all that I am. And I am more than that. And I can use that and use that experience and turn it into something good, and use that experience to help other people not have to go through the same thing that I did, but also like in the workplace, make things better for them. So yeah, I really vibed with that. So first of all, hearing that, I'm sad that I didn't know about this before. Apparently Gary Barlow had been saying that, there'd been a lot of behind the scenes nonsense happening for a headline. And I'm kind of gutted that I wasn't aware of that. I think I stopped watching X Factor around the time that Misha B was on there. So I was aware when she was on there, I knew who she was. But after that, I didn't really watch X Factor. I didn't really care and was not really involved in anything to do with that. And so I'm gutted that I didn't know this earlier, but I'm glad I know this now. And I think a lot of people may not have known this, but know this now. Or maybe it's I think as black women, we know collectively that, these things happen in the workplace, and our stories, the stories of trauma we experience in all aspects of our life is kind of one that is unfortunately as old as time. And so I guess it was just one of the situations where we didn't know the specifics of a situation and the insidiousness of her situation. But I praise her strength, her grace, everything about what she put out. It was all love. It was just, you could just, she is the woman I want to be. I know, again, it is, she didn't, it's been the strength, she kept saying how it's been the strength of loads of women behind her, helping her, guiding her. But, she is still kind of coming for thousands of people to explain and say her story, which is really hard. So I completely commend her strength. But, one thing that I say in a video that I've done previously about why don't people like seeing black women win, why do we have to endure this trauma constantly? I know why. White supremacist patriarchy, but like everything that we do, every single avenue, all of our stories, even as nuanced as they are, the root of them is the same, racism. And it just absolutely breaks my heart because like, why won't the world let Black women catch a break? Like, I get it, but I don't get it. It's despicable. Hearing her story, seeing her cry, understanding that she is still healing from the PTSD and trauma caused by what happened to her in that time is horrific. And it's unfortunate that it's unfortunate. I can't stand the fact that I keep hearing these stories. It's not fair. Dark-skinned Black women are absolutely like the way dark-skinned Black women in society are just treated like shit, and it's fucked up. It's one of those things that makes me so angry I could scream. And I think many dark-skinned Black women experiencing it feel like they want to scream too, because like I said in my other video about how when something was happening, where a racist incident was happening, it was two Black women that jumped in, me and this other Black woman, and the event I saw in a video that in my last video, it's the same thing I'm saying now, is that like every movement, every injustice, Black women are always there sticking up for people, helping people. Like we are the culture. The internet, if without us, the internet is shut down. Like without us, the runways don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're making, they don't know what they're creating. Without us, the world is nothing. Do you get it? And so for the world to then go back and treat us like this and not stand for us and not help us, even with Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of women are just being forgotten and pushed to, and kind of their names not being heard, and they're not getting the justice they deserve. Not saying that Black men's lives aren't as important. Yes, but Black women deserve the same justice, Abby. Like, I was watching a really good TED Talk by the woman that created the term intersectional feminism, Kristen, I can't remember her surname. Sorry, I'm really bad at names. I'll try and leave the link to the TED Talk below. But she is the person that came up with the term intersectional feminist that many white people try to co-opt. But that's besides the point. Basically, she did an exercise where she was like, okay, if you know or have heard of this person, please sit down. And when it came to Black men that have been victims of police brutality, lots of people would sit down. But when it came to Black women, many people didn't know who they were. And it was just this video is 3 years ago, and I don't think much has changed. It's just so glaringly obvious that when it comes to Black Lives Matter, for whatever, because of a number of reasons, Black women and Black trans women as well are left out of the narrative and not supported. And it's in the only words I can feel described, despicable, and one of the greatest injustices that humanity is facing right now, not supporting and caring for Black women in society. So if you want to hear, let me just be really clear about this. Personally, my belief is always believe the victim, no matter what it is. And also my stance on everything, always believe Black women, always advocate for Black women. So I'm going to get onto the Talisa video and her response to Misha B's video in a minute, but like my stance always and forever will be believe Black women, stand behind Black women, help Black women, period. That's where I stand on it. First of all, Talisa's video was full of beautiful racist bingo. I saw someone on Twitter that was like writing down the list, and it was really funny. She said about how I don't care if you're Black, white, tall, short. First of all, don't conflate skin color to frivolous things like your height, because maybe there is, no, there's not, but like there have been systems in place for centuries that systematically work against people purely because of skin color, like literally that is the one thing, purely because people are from a certain country, from Africa, from Asia, whatever. So saying there isn't systematic oppression against tall people or short people, let me just say that right now. So that when people say that, it's just, you just turn off, because like you're clearly an idiot, and obviously it means that you are just trying to find different ways to try and say you're not racist, which probably means you are. What was she supposed to say? She was like, oh, and she said all the other classic ones. I haven't got a racist bone in my body, as if the bone is placed somewhere in the body. And she's like, oh no, it's removed. I got it removed years ago. Or I have black friends, my dad grew up in Africa, all these things. I mean, there's been amazing threads on Twitter explaining and breaking down why what she was saying was nonsense, but it was the fact that she spent 2 minutes talking nonsense and not one of those moments was accountability for what she did and an apology for what she did is mind-boggling, really. I just don't know why she bothered to release the video, but there we go. And I find it really interesting that like in her like second half of her video, she was saying how her friends were like, educate yourself, because maybe she does have black friends and they're sick of her and they're like, look, what you can do right now is educate yourself. We as your black friends, if she has any, are no longer aren't doing the work for you anymore. We're fed up with your nonsense. That's why you haven't heard from us in months. I think one thing I really want to touch on is that I think something personal has happened to me, but also something I heard in this video was her speaking about like intent. It was never my intent. It was never my intent. And I think a lot of racist white people or white people that say things that are racist would always try and say, but that wasn't my intent. I never meant any malice intent. Oh, blah blah blah. You know, surely that adds to the equation. Surely that like cancels out my racism. First of all, it doesn't. Second of all, intent doesn't mean anything. Like intent doesn't like cancel out the hurt and the impact of your actions. Do you get what I mean? If I accidentally fell on someone and broke their leg and they had to wear a cast for 6 weeks, they're going to be pretty pissed. They're going to be pretty upset. And me saying, I fell on you by accident, so why are you upset? I just don't understand. I didn't fall on you on purpose. It doesn't matter. You still broke their leg. You're gonna say sorry. You're gonna be apologetic because you broke their leg. It is the same thing. Even if you didn't have intent, because you know you grew up in a society. You know there are many systems in place to support and uplift white people, and growing up and existing in that system, you may not understand or realize, I don't know how you cannot in 2020, but you may not realize, understand how your privilege works and the power dynamics in place when you're talking to people of color and things like that. And so that may lead you to say something racist, but you still did it. Like you still did it, apologize and take accountability and say how you're going to be better next time to improve so you don't make the same mistake again. Do you get it? And then, so I wanted to just touch on that, like, she was going on about intent. You still need to apologize. And I think Misha B in her video was saying about how the way because she's watched back that clip of her, on the X Factor where Talisa kind of publicly said all these really, really horrible things about how she's a bully and how just saying all these things that first of all had nothing to do with the singing, but whatever, and we're just calling her out. And apparently Talisa's side of the story is because she had all these people, all of her contestants that she was mentoring, crying and complaining, and so she felt that it was right to come out in public to say these things to her after she just sang and was asking for feedback on her singing in front of the British public because she's a feisty 22-year-old. What? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway, I to be honest, anyway, Misha B said she thinks that based on when she was watching back that clip, that she thinks that what Talisa said was scripted. Like that she didn't just say that off the bat. She had like planned this message and was like ready to spit it out as soon as she get an opportunity to say it, to really tear down a black woman in front of the, entire, back in the day, the whole of Britain was watching X Factor. It was the fucking show. So she knew exactly what she was doing and it felt planned. And honestly, watching the clip and just like seeing Talisa's response, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I'm not saying it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case, because to say all of those things and to choose that moment, you knew what that moment was. You knew exactly what you were doing when you're saying it. You didn't stop yourself halfway through. You didn't, and even just looking at her face while she's saying it, this is something that she has been wanting to say for a long time, and she chose a very public moment to say it because she's a feisty 22-year-old. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know what to say. That's fucking ridiculous and it's fucking stupid. I'm 21 and I have more fucking sense in my head than her. Are you fucking crazy? What? That makes zero fucking sense. I mean, overall, that Talisa video is diabolical because it's like, the lack of acknowledgement of the whole situation is gross. Like, it's like very little seconds spent on talking about Misha B and like the apologies, all spent about defending herself and talking about how she has black friends. I don't know why she's acting so oblivious to her actions. And the way she was like emphasizing it was 9 years ago. So she is still healing from the trauma caused by that incident. So it doesn't matter if it was 10 years ago, it still had a big impact on her. So you need to apologize and you need to hold yourself accountable. Also, as a woman in the industry, you know how the music industry works. That's why you were on that show. I mean, part of why you were on that show is white privilege, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. You know how the music industry works. You're in it. You know how it exists to take down women. So how could you act oblivious to your actions for so long? Like, knowing you knew what you were doing when you were doing that, because you know how the entertainment industry works. And I wouldn't be surprised if this whole situation was set up by some producers as like, we need to make some good telly, we need to make those headlines, blah, 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 which is kind of what Gary Barlow was saying. It's like, we're going to start whispering and chatting shit, and let's see if it picks up and anything comes out of it, and that will make really, really good telly. And what's really interesting is that, like, for a lot of white, I feel like, because of white supremacy, because of white privilege and whatever, a lot of white people live with this like weird uncomfortability with black people anyway. And so it wouldn't take much for like the producers or the runners, whoever was involved in that whole scandal, to like whisper here to start planting seeds about Misha B. And then people to be like, to be honest, I could believe that, she's a black woman, blah, 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 blah. So to be honest, I'm going to believe you with whatever you say rather than going to talk to her. And so I think that's what added to it. It was unconscious biases about black women being aggressive, being bitchy, being all this, that helped whatever rumors or fake drama that the producers were trying to create. It helped the seed stay, and it helped people believe it and be really hurt by it, because it was playing into thoughts that they already had about black women. Do you know what I mean? I think the producers knew, like, again, like everyone knew the systems they were working in. They knew how it would be so easy to turn everyone against a black woman, because most of society is already against us. And so they used that to their device to tear down a 19-year-old girl. How did she know the accusations were true? So these people were crying and saying all these things to her. Mind you, Misha B says that most of the judges, apart from Kelly Rowland and Gary Barlow, spent like nilch time with their contestants, but that's besides the point. Like, how did she know the accusations were true? Like, so her contestants were crying. As a mentor, as a person supposed to be upholding the competition, looking after her people, why didn't she go and talk to Misha B about these incidents? Why didn't she ask them, okay, where did you hear this? What about the situation? She's not, hopefully she's not stupid enough to take people's word for it and be like, you are crying and you're saying it's Misha B. I'm going to not do anything, wait till I'm on public television, and then completely tear down her character and everything about her to the whole of Britain after she's delivered an amazing performance and her confidence is high, after Louise has had a go at her. That's what I'll do instead. That will help solve the situation. How? I think there's this really insidious thing about having to take black women that are doing well down a peg. It's so disgusting. So disgusting. Another key thing that I want to speak about is, she was saying that she's a feisty 22-year-old, like she's a different person 10 years later. She has more emotional intelligence, she has more experience. You were older than her when you did this. So she was 19, you were 20, you were saying you were 22 at the time, or 22, yeah, feisty 22-year-old. You were older than her. So surely that age gap, did you not learn anything about emotional intelligence then to know that I maybe shouldn't be picking on, since you're passionate about Black Lives Matter, maybe I shouldn't be picking on a young black girl following her dream, a talented young black girl following her dream? Didn't it come into your mind to do that? But also, if you're this, you're 5 to 22-year-old, lack intelligence and emotional intelligence, why the fuck are you on X Factor mentoring the next generation of singers and people that want to get into the music industry, sitting next to the likes of Kelly Rowland and Gary Barlow? How if you lack that emotional intelligence, why are you being put in a position where you are mentoring and emotionally and like kind of career-wise looking after people if you can't actually manage your own stuff? How does that make sense? So how does that make sense to you? Most people have said the right thing in that having Talisa, this 20-year-old feisty girl, next to Kelly Rowland says everything you need to know about white privilege. And I think what, more than anything, the thing that helped me should be in that situation was having Kelly Rowland there, because honestly, I've been in situations myself, having another black woman that you can console in and have power and draw power from, and like that you can just lean on it to help, can make such a difference. But I just don't understand why you know, you're all these things like, oh, I'm so different 10 years later. Okay, so why were you on that show at 22? If you don't have emotional intelligence or intelligence in general to, like, if you don't have emotional intelligence or you're some feisty 22-year-old still learning your way, why are you on a show trying to help other artists and mentor them how to be successful in the music industry? And it doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't. It's white privilege. She just saw that the opportunity was there, and probably someone much more qualified was swept over to allow her to go in there because she's Talisa, she's urban, she can help with the, you know, the urban acts or whatever the fuck they want to do. And what really irritates me is that this happens a lot, in that, like, they want black things, but they don't want black faces. Like, there's situations I've been in, and I know other people have been in, where like they'll talk to black people or black women and say, oh, can you help us with this? We really want to do this. What do you guys think? And then we'll kind of share ideas. We'll be like, this is what you can do. Hire us. We can help execute all the things you want to do. And they'll be like, cool, this sounds great, this is really good leads. Then they'll go and find a white person that can do the thing, rather than asking the people that are from the culture, that know what they're doing, that just gave you the advice. They'll go and find a white face that confront the same thing. They'll go and find, in this scenario, they wanted urban, but they didn't want too urban, so they went to find white urban, and Talisa was ready to fit the bill straight away. You know, she talks about how she's passionate about hearing someone say I'm passionate about Black Lives Matter is a very weird sentence that I don't think should have gone together. But most of all, I think if you are passionate about Black Lives Matter and you're doing the reading and the education that you need, but you only started to do it now after you've been accused of racism, so I don't know how you can be passionate about it only doing it only after you've been accused, but okay. How are you still making accusations? Because in the video, she was saying how, you know, contestants were crying. I was just trying to deal with this. So are you still trying to say that so even after the video, the whole situation explains, you are still trying to say that, well, I was just dealing with crying contestants, so what could I do? You know, I'm not saying she didn't do it, but this is the situation. Like, she didn't, at no point did she say Misha B didn't do this. She was just saying that I was just trying to do a situation, I didn't handle it well. So you still think she was a bully, you still think she did all the things she was falsely accused of, but you're just like, I should have handled it a bit differently. She didn't do it, sweetheart. She didn't fucking do it. Understand, if you're passionate about Black Lives Matter and you're reading the books and you're doing the work, you would understand that there are things in place, and because of unconscious bias and frankly conscious biases, black women by white people are always seen as more aggressive, as bullies, as this and that, and as making her and positioning her as the aggressor. There's no way you could be passionate about Black Lives Matter if you are still positioning Misha B as the aggressor. There's no way. It was really hurtful to watch Misha B tell her story, but it was a story that needed to be told. But it was just really hurtful to watch because it's a situation that I have experienced often, and I'm sure many other black women have experienced often, especially dark-skinned black women in the workplace and every single industry or thing that we slay at. This is a reoccurring theme, and it's disgusting. But like, you know, she's talking about the kind of feeling alienated, the weird looks, the change in energy. And I really understand that, because there gets points where you're like, you know, things are like, you know, people are treating you differently. And then you start to like gaslight yourself into thinking, am I just making this up? Is it all getting to my head? Am I just being some kind? But trust your spirit, trust your energy. She said it herself, and I completely agree with that. Like, if you know people are acting up and acting booky, 100% of the time they definitely are. They're working within systems that are put in place to protect them most of the time. So last thing I want to say, even though I said this is the last thing I want to say, last thing I want to say is support, follow, love on Misha B and all the dark-skinned black women in your life. And even if not in your life, love on them all. Stream her music, support her. She deserves better. And she, you know, I think telling her truth will help her on that journey to healing and getting what she deserves. Support Misha B in any way that you can. Again, I just want to thank Misha B for her vulnerability, because it was what I needed to see that day to really understand. And like, because I find it hard to cry, so seeing her cry and like just sort of stuff that happened that day, it really helped me be more open to how I was feeling. So she has touched so many people, and I'm one of them. You know, I'm starting my own business, a jewelry business. One day she will wear my pieces, because I think she's fucking amazing. I love everything that she stands for. So yeah, I don't know why I'm smiling. I'm smiling because she is speaking from strength and vulnerability, both of them together, and I'm inspired by her, and I'm smiling because, you know, all those, you know, the horrible things that happened to her are part of her story now, and it makes her stronger, it makes her better, it makes her all the things that she wants to be, it makes her who she is. And to see that and understand my struggles and how that fits into that it's shaping me as a person and my future, I think. I don't know, it's really inspiring. Any Black women watching this, make sure to rest, heal, protect yourself, and look after yourself, because in this life, I don't know who is looking after us, honestly, truly. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end, I love you so much and I appreciate you. If you like the makeup look, feel free to comment down below, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be very, very soon. Okay, bye.